Mr. Joseph Dettery was born on February 25, 1962, in Ringtown, Pennsylvania. Mr. Dettery's mother worked at a garment factory but died at a young age due to cancer. His father worked at Purelator Filters and died a few short years after his wife due to cancer also. Mr. Dettery chose the Army National Guard branch. This branch was the one he chose because when he was a little boy, he saw people training in his hometown for this section of the military. He enlisted in the Army National Guard in March of 1980 and left for boot camp on July 26, 1980. When Mr. Dettery left for boot camp, he was unsure how to feel. He was very excited, but he knew he was going to miss his family. When Mr. Dettery first arrived, he began to receive his shots, his haircuts, and his fatigues. In the next few days, basic training actually began. When Mr. Dettery arrived at basic training, he was just getting to know the instructors. Mr. Dettery's drill instructor was Sergeant McKinley.
Drill Sergeant McKinley, and he was only a small guy, but he was feisty.
He obeyed every move that the drill instructor ordered them to do. In the early days of training, Mr. Dettery said,
"We did physical training, we run road marches, learn how to salute."
The first days of training was getting used to the new conditions and the new food. However, for Mr. Dettery, it wasn't hard to adapt to military lifestyle. Mr. Dettery didn't have a problem adapting to military food and the lifestyle of a soldier. But Mr. Dettery stated that the instructors in South Carolina gave them basically everything they wanted, but in Fort Benning, they were given true military food. Weeks into training, the men were learning how to qualify the M16 rifle, hand grenades, and grenade launchers. For Mr. Dettery, that was an easy task. He picked up on the idea of weapons very easily. Mr. Dettery went out on bivouac. Bivouac was when he'd go out on a trip with a half of a tent and your buddy would go with the other half. He would train by basically living in a tent out in an open field. This played a big part in his training because his favorite thing to do currently in his life is to go camping with family and friends. After basic training, Mr. Dettery received Advanced Infantry Training, also known as AIT. In Advanced Infantry Training, he learned the same skills, he just learned more advanced drills. The time was more limited during AIT, but the information he learned was not. Mr. Dettery loved AIT because that was the step after basic training. He felt accomplished after basic training, and he felt as if he really accomplished something by completing it. After Mr. Dettery completed all of his training, he graduated. At graduation, he received a diploma and a medal. He received the General Thomas J. Stewart Medal for 100% drill attendance. He felt honored receiving this medal because he put a lot of effort in trying to make himself better and be more mature. When he returned home after his training, he and his family were very happy to be able to see each other after months of separation. He started training at the Hometown National Guard located in Hometown, Pennsylvania. His training time was very limited once he got to Hometown.
It was once a month. Sometimes it would be Friday night into Sunday, and sometimes it would be just Saturday, Sunday, and then 2 weeks during the summer, we'd have summer camp.
They would train a little during the week, some weekends, and 2 weeks during the summer. The training on the weekends and in the summer usually took place at Fort Indiantown Gap. The biggest thing they trained for at Hometown is riot control and how to deal with floods and state disasters. They were also taught more in depth about how to properly clean the barracks and the weapons. Mr. Dettery stated that after the military he had a couple jobs. He still trained while he continued to mature.
I got a job in construction, and I did my weekend drills. That's what they were called, weekend drills. 1 weekend a month, and it was 2 weeks during the summer, which we'd go to other camps, other bases for training. But my career, then I started as, like I said, construction worker. And then I worked for a wire company. Then the job I had, I drove truck for many years. And I'm a carpenter now.
Mr. Dettery isn't in contact with the men he trained with, although he thinks about them often. The men he served with and the military played a huge role in Mr. Dettery's life. He has learned so many lessons that he can use every day for the rest of his life. He learned how to deal with hard situations maturely. He also learned how to be a man. He believes that if the military doesn't mature you, nothing will. In Mr. Dettery's eyes, the military will keep teens off the streets and help them turn their life in the right direction.
I would urge people to, if they have the chance to join the military will make a great career for you. You keep my feelings, a lot of people off the streets, turn them in the right direction, that they'll be strong, give back to society their knowledge, and if there's a way that we can end world problems without war, but be ready and strong in case we need our men and women. But the military would be a good. It makes you a strong human being. That it'll stay with you, for a long time.
Mr. Dettery chose to stop serving the military after meeting his wife. He discussed deeply on how the military has changed his life and that he is glad he got the opportunity to train for combat and state disasters.